listen, these documents freed a nation, and thousands and thousands of pages of law later, they've tried to take it away, and they haven't done it yet. Isn't that amazing? This little document right here. The voice of America spoke in December of 1773 when 7,000 people gathered in the Old South Meeting House in Boston. There was a couple of ships in the Boston harbor, and they had a deadline to get out, and they didn't. And Samuel Adams stood up, and he said, "This meeting can do nothing more to save this country." And at that time, about 100 people got up, some of them dressed as Mohawk Indians, and they went to the Boston harbor, and they tossed 342 chests of tea. Benjamin Rush called that tea the seeds of slavery, and they tossed it into the Boston harbor. That was the voice of America. The voice of America spoke again in January of 1776 when an anonymous Englishman published a 46-page pamphlet, and it went viral in the colonies. 500,000 copies among 2 million people. That would be like 75 million copies in America today. Thomas Paine's common sense so resonated with the people of this country, and he said in there, government in its best state is a necessary evil, and in its worst, an intolerable one. And that resonated with the people of America and the colonists. It so resonated with people, John Adams made this statement about Thomas Paine's influence on the Revolution. He said, "If it weren't for the pen of Paine, Washington's sword would have been wielded in vain." Thomas Paine was the voice of America. And then the voice of America spoke again in the summer of 1776 when 56 men signed the most famous Dear John letter in the history of the world. It's a breakup letter. It's a letter from a battered spouse to an abusive spouse. It's the Declaration of Independence. Have you guys read this thing? It starts out and says, "When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them to another, that means, hey, Great Britain, this isn't working out. It's not me, it's you." That's what that meant. And it goes on because, you know, you don't just break up from your mother country on a whim. And so they listed 27 dimensions of incompatibility in eHarmony language, the reasons why this was not working out. And what they said is, you're taking our money. You're taking our liberty. You're threatening us with violence. This should not be. And it went on to say, we have petitioned, we have warned, we have reminded, we have appealed. And there's nothing more we can do. But it ends, this is great, I love this, it ends and it says, we must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. It ends like any other breakup letter normally ends. Hey, Great Britain, we can still be friends. That was the voice of America. And Great Britain said, you know what? I don't think we can be friends. We want a messy divorce. And it was a messy divorce. But when the colonies finally won their independence, they were entrusted with one of the most precious commodities on the earth, freedom. And they were responsible to protect the tree of liberty. The tree of liberty, which was the self-evident, unalienable, God-given rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what they were there to protect. And what the founders believed was that everybody should have equal access to the tree of liberty. Nobody should be able to prevent another citizen from accessing that tree and taking the fruit off of it. No other group should be able to stop any other group from having access to that tree. And what they said was, you know what? We need a different kind of government to protect that tree. And we need a different kind of government, one that's not like a marriage, but like a relationship between an employer and an employee. A government that is got its power from the consent of the people and the people alone. And so, yes, exactly, and they wanted a government where those individuals could be hired and fired based on how well they protected the tree of liberty. And the voice of America spoke again in 1787 when the Constitution was completed. That Constitution is a contract. It's a contract between us, the employers, and the employees. And it gives 35 specific powers, that's all, to the federal government. That's all it gives. All of the rest of the power were retained by the states and the people. And just to make sure there was no confusion, in 1791 a Bill of Rights was added. And that Bill of Rights had a 10th Amendment that said, hey, we've clearly laid this out, but in case you think there's something else you can do, there is not. Nothing else you can do. Only what's in here. That was the voice of America. So now I ask you, how can it be, after all of that effort, after all of that work, in such clear language, how can it be that the servants are now the masters? How can it be that the employees are telling the employees the employer what to do? How is it that the ones who have sworn to defend and uphold and protect that tree from enemies foreign and domestic are hacking away at the roots and the branches? How can that be? What happened to the voice of America? We got laryngitis. We went to sleep. We stopped paying attention. And by the time some of us started to wake up, what we realized is we completely lost our voice in Washington. We have, haven't we? Yeah. Listen, 90% opposed the TARP bailout, and Washington didn't listen. 67% opposed the GM takeover. Washington did not listen. 63% did not support the stimulus bill. Washington did not listen. We've petitioned. We have warned, we've reminded, we've appealed, and our representatives have not listened, and the less they listen, the louder we are going to get. And I look around today, and there are definitely more than 5,000 people here right now. Is it possible that America is getting its voice back? That's what I thought. And I want to leave you with this thought. Just like that meeting in the Old South Meeting House, where 7,000 people gathered together, this meeting can do very little to save the country. Excuse the expression, but we need to get the tea bags to get up and do something about it. We need to take action. We need to get out there. We need to educate ourselves, educate the population, educate our representatives. We need to support the groups. We need to join together regardless of political party. We need to reclaim and restore the voice of America and the Republic of the United States. Thank you very much.